Mass Effect 1 used to be my least favorite of the three, but over time, its uniqueness has really made it stand out. There is truly something special about Mass Effect 1 that makes it very different from the others. And I hope Mass Effect as a franchise, and especially Mass Effect 5, will return to where the series started. There are a lot of things that make Mass Effect 1 so unique, but I think it shines for three main reasons: cosmic horror, exploration, and the Citadel. These are what really set apart Mass Effect 1 from 2 and 3 and even Andromeda. There is more cosmic horror in ME1 than any other game. The vastness of space is felt when you're exploring the uncharted worlds, the subtle sounds of emptiness, while also hearing the ominous space elk sounds that just really add to the creepiness of space. Even just the whooshing of the wind feels ominous. Space is massive, so large that our feeble little human minds can't even grasp it. And space should feel like that. It should feel like we are stepping out into the unknown, capable of discovering anything, from barren planets to terrifying alien species. Mass Effect 1 doesn't do this perfectly because it is a product of its time, but it leans into it enough that you do feel those elements. Yes, what's on undiscovered planets are mostly similar throughout the game: broken down probes, hidden bunkers, and all the same reused assets. But there's also the small alien animals that you find. The little red beetles, the Pyjak colony, the shifty-looking cow, the pyramids. There are things to find, new things to discover. And aside from the small things you wouldn't expect, there's also the beauty of walking on a planet that you know nothing about, staring up at a sun you've never seen, looking at places no human has been before. Mass Effect 1 is the only game that truly lets you explore, and it's the only one that gives you the feeling of what it's like to venture out into uncharted space for the first time. There is something exciting and scary and interesting about finding something new and paving the way for others. It's probably because it so closely relates to where our own real space exploration is at. We've been to the moon and space, and that's it. No human has ever set foot on another planet. We've never left our own system, and we definitely haven't left the Milky Way galaxy. But in Mass Effect, those things are possible. And with a story about the galaxy from a human perspective, I feel like it's kind of missing in the later games. Even Andromeda, I don't think really captures the scariness of it, the emptiness of it, how grand and massive space truly is. I want to feel what it's like to be reminded that our existence is really insignificant compared to the vastness of the universe. What it's like to stand on a planet of an ancient civilization and be reminded that we are just newborns in the grand scheme of existence. Aside from the vastness of space, I want to see more alien creatures and more horror elements when it comes to the aliens that we meet. The Thorian was extremely interesting. The concept of this terrifying creature that can control minds and operates as this massive plant network was leaning more into horror, and I miss that. I want to see more creatures like this, weird alien beings that are perplexing and terrifying. I want to see just how scary and other the galaxy can be. Majority of Mass Effect's aliens are all very humanoid. Asari, Turian, Krogans, Protheans, they are all of course different, but they're also very similar. I want to see Mass Effect get weird, get as far away from humans with its alien designs, and make something truly alien. I think with things like the Thorian, a creature that has been alive for thousands of years, that's a really good way to do it. No, we'd never see a society of Thorian on the Citadel, but encountering something like them on a random uncharted world would bring back that feeling of horror and unlimited possibilities in space. And I think Mass Effect really needs that. If anything, I think humanity needs a little bit of humbling to our place in the galaxy. Human history in the wider galaxy is an interesting one in Mass Effect because it's extremely unrealistic. Within 29 years since the First Contact War, our first contact with aliens, humanity already has an embassy on the Citadel, a seat on the council, manufactured Asari biotics. They also invented Metagel. And then they brought the galaxy together to become the savior of the entire galaxy. In less than 30 years, they have achieved the unthinkable, the impossible. And for reference, the Volus who created the entire economy system for all the council races don't even have a seat on the council. And they have to share their embassy with the Elcor. Humans advanced rapidly. And because of it, I think some of the reality of humans truly venturing out into space for the first time is a little bit lost. There's a little bit of wonder I think we missed out on. Each new planet, each new introduction to a new alien or society should still be exciting because it's all new. I know Shepard was a bit of a stoic soldier, and while maybe they didn't need to show that childlike wonder over these new things, I wish we as the player could have felt it a bit more, like in Mass Effect 1. What it's like to discover the broken down ships or burnt bodies, and to read the information about what happened. What it was like to find the pyramids and question their origins. Those things are exciting because they all add to the world building, which I think Mass Effect 1 does fairly well. Again, yes, I know the planets are limited and they're all very similar, but we don't really see another planet like Ilos, the ruins of an ancient race that has been lost to time. And yet we are able to walk through their world and see a little bit of what it was like. Ilos is my favorite planet in all of Mass Effect because there is so much mystery and unknown to what we find. And that's exactly what we should be finding, mysteries. Because for a series that takes place in the wider galaxy, after humans have just barely left Earth, there isn't really a lot of unsolved mysteries in the wider Mass Effect world, especially in the Milky Way galaxy. There are some, of course, and the ones we do have are interesting. But majority of them are from planet codexes we can only read. We can't visit those planets or experience the mysteries ourselves, like Ploba's mysterious megastructures that can't be reached, or like Armeni with its untouched graveyard, or like Logan and its mysterious planet rings that seem to have hidden objects within them. These mysteries are fascinating, especially in a galaxy where millions of civilizations have been wiped out every 50,000 years. There should be so many ruins for us to find, and so many lost civilizations for us to discover. I think Andromeda tried to do this, but there's something that felt really different about it. There wasn't really much leaning into the cosmic horror. Instead, it just felt like a generic open-world game. There were some places that were more interesting than the others, but I still feel like it was missing the elements I wanted from Mass Effect 1. I'm just hoping that Mass Effect as a franchise can bring back a bit of that element, that cosmic horror vibe with the exploration and vastness of space. And I think you can only really feel this through exploring. I don't want to see another massive open-world game like Andromeda, but I also don't want a super linear game like Mass Effect 2 or 3. I want to walk through old ruins and find old Prothean civilizations, or discover new creatures like the Pyjaks. I want Mass Effect to let me explore space. I also want to explore the Citadel, which over the 3 games becomes smaller and smaller, despite the structure itself being absolutely massive. The Citadel during the time of the original trilogy before the Reaper War is supposed to have over 13 million people living on it, according to the wiki, but I remember one of the comics says around 3 million, so I'm not exactly sure. But for reference, Tokyo has about 14 million in its actual city, and New York City's population is around 9 million. So for such a massive structure that is almost 8 miles long, half the size of Tokyo, the Citadel should have some of that busyness and congestion of a dense population. It should be filled with places and aliens living there. We see several glimpses of just how big the Citadel is, and yet we can barely explore it. I want to meet more consorts. I want to go to more places like the Silver Sun Strip, Cora's Den, the Silver Coast Casino, and the Purgatory Bar. I want to find more keepers and random oddities. in a massive city that houses several different alien races. There are just so many possibilities, especially for any type of setting where you're exploring some kind of criminal underground that lets you be morally complex. The Citadel has it all, and we just haven't seen it. I think Mass Effect 2 and 3 really excel in their linear storytelling and character-focused narratives, and I still want those things. I want a good story with a good protagonist and good companions. Those things should still be the main focus of anything in Mass Effect, but I also just want some of that feeling of the wider galaxy like we had in Mass Effect 1. And I'm just hoping that with all the references to Mass Effect 1 in all the Mass Effect 5 teasers, from the Project SFX reference to the different names that it could have been called, I hope all of these clues are hinting that we will see more of that connection to the first entry into the series. Oculon was one of the names of the Citadel before it became the Citadel, and we've seen that teased. Is this the N7 walking on the Citadel? Is this art of the Citadel after Mass Effect 3? Has it been abandoned because of its dark history and connection to the Reapers? I want to know what happened to it. I want to know if it was rebuilt, or has the galaxy created their own? I'm also hoping this kind of spooky-looking concept art with a very Mass Effect 1 exploration feel is something we really do feel in the next game. I'm also hoping that this is what I think is Ilium, is a future Ilium that is larger and more open, again, for us to explore. I just want them to capture the elements of the series that I think really help define it, but have maybe been lost a little over time. Let me explore, let me discover, let me feel the vastness of space. But let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree? Do you want to explore like I do? Do you want to go back to the Citadel? And what are you hoping to see in Mass Effect 5? Let me know all your thoughts below, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members, thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.